having that fighting spirit ever since then, except for the Democrats.
Abbott says he'll call one special session after the other if that's what it takes to allow for a vote. Bob Agnew reporting.
Harvard University and the Trump administration getting close to an agreement that would require the Ivy League university to pay $500 million to regain access to federal funding and to end investigations. The framework for a settlement still being sorted out. It could be ready in coming weeks, though. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
There is a new survey that shows Zohran Mamdani running away with the race to be the next mayor of New York City. Mamdani leading by almost 20 points over Andrew Cuomo. The former New York governor, not looking good. He has only 25% support. And the current mayor, Eric Adams, looks worse, polling only 7%. Curtis Sliwa, running as a Republican, is only getting 12% support from fellow Republicans. Are those Republicans going to go with Cuomo or Mamdani? If you believe this survey, Mamdani, Marxist, communist, will be the next New York City mayor. You know, after election, some do have election remorse, kind of like you spending money, good money, on something you want, only to decide, this is not as good as I thought, but now, too late, I already bought it. Could New Yorkers be so upside down now that they will vote in Mamdani only later to regret it? If so, they will have to live with that regret.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
The Napoli heritage of fine dining continues with Napoli Kirkwood. Napoli Kirkwood, now open. So add that to Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, right next door to Napoli C. And don't forget about Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the district, Chesterfield Valley. All of those locations, plus now, open, Napoli Kirkwood.
JC's Wayback Machine.
It was this week in 1988 we broke into Mike Bush's house. I'll play it back for you. Model turned actress Angie Harmon talks about Texas fire ants and her lovely keister, and we'll remember Elvis on the 48th anniversary of him falling off the can. All that plus great tunes from the 90s, 80s, and 70s you can't hear anywhere else. All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
It's JC's Wayback Machine. Every Saturday night, 6 to 9. On News Talk STL. News Talk STL. This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by STL Fenceworks, celebrating 50 years of industry-leading service for fence, deck, and leisure space solutions. Visit stlfenceworks.com.
Oh, give me land, lots of land under starry skies above. Don't fence me in. Let me ride through the wide open country that I love. Don't fence me in. Let me be by myself in the evening breeze. Listen to the murmur of the cottonwood trees. Send me off forever, but I ask you please. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in. Just turn me loose. Let me straddle my own saddle underneath the western skies. On my cayuse, let me wander over yonder till I see the mountains rise. I want to ride to the ridge where the west commences. Gaze at the moon until I lose my senses. I can't look at hobbles and I can't stand fences. Don't fence me in. Don't fence me in.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here. Super happy to be with you. Ashton over there. And this is Common Sense Radio. Good afternoon, everyone. That was a fun time in the hallway before the show. Always is. Vic and I trading stories about the Jersey Shore and Elvis's death and all that kind of stuff. And Todd Showalter, who's that guy, right? You know, I think he always wears like baseball jerseys. You know, he kind of wears the baseball jersey like it's kind of unbuttoned but hangs down like a skirt on his pants and stuff. Super interesting guy, really super talented guy here at News Talk. And he's wearing Thursdays are always crazy. I think it's because when he records his show or something. I don't know. But there's always something new with him. So he's wearing a Red Lobster bib and brought in like other Red Lobster bibs with the notion that maybe we'd all just like put on Red Lobster bibs and just be part of Todd's world for a little bit. And I almost bought it, but then we got into discussions because there's always a story about something. And because he went to Red Lobster with his son. Son took him there. And I don't know too many sons who take their dads to Red Lobster, but that's groovy right there. The kid's an old soul. But anyway, Todd was like, well, I thought Red Lobster was closed. I thought they went bankrupt or something. He said, well, you know what? They almost did. And I love these stories about branding and stuff like this. So this was funny. So one time, Red Lobster did a all-you-can-eat crab legs promotion, right? And it was the dumbest idea possible because you got to understand your clientele. And no offense to you if you go to Red Lobster, but you have to understand the clientele. The clientele would be that in some cases, some of the people are the types of people who would put food in their purses, all right? Or down their pants even if it was an all-you-can-eat event. And so they had this all-you-can-eat crab legs promotion and literally got eaten out of house and home. It cost them millions of dollars in losses because of the all-you-can-eat crab legs. And so the CEO was like reprimanded for it or whatever. And the next thing you know, like 3 months later, she decides, hey, let's do an all-you-can-eat shrimp event. And the people who are kind of the board members or whatever, Red Lobster Incorporated, whatever it is, are like, you're giving away food. You're literally costing us millions of dollars. And it actually resulted in Red Lobster closing some of its restaurants because the all-you-can-eat thing just left them totally busted. It was crazy. So anyway, that's my Red Lobster story. And he noted, of course, aptly that yes, they do use a lot of butter at Red Lobster, and apparently those buns or those biscuits, those cheese biscuits, are the cat's meow, so to speak. All right, one other quick little note. So last night, this is interesting. I went to see La Cage aux Folles at the Muni. And you're thinking, really, Allman? I go, yeah, I did. And I really liked it. It was really good. I'd never seen it before. I think I've heard about the bird cage. And every time I hear about it, there's somebody, in a feather outfit or something. I just haven't paid much attention to La Cage aux Folles before. But it's a great story, first of all. But it's about gay people, right? But and then I decided, like this morning, I thought it was great. Just left it alone. So it was really entertaining, very entertaining. The performers there at the Muni these days are great. And back in the old days at the Muni, because I've been going for about 25 years now regularly, because my wife's family has season tickets and that kind of thing. So I've been going there every summer, and I've enjoyed it. But before, it used to be like, oh, there's the guy who played the mayor in the last Muni production. Oh, that guy played the king in the one that was the first one. So it got kind of boring. And then they started to get political. So some of these actors are from St. Louis and everything else. They used to make these political snarky comments during the show. And that became really laborious. And so then they freshened things up a little bit, did a little stage redesign, and have like super professional actors coming in. So they've got these touring companies that come in, and these people are like top notch in terms of community theater and municipal theater and beyond. And even though this was, about gays and about cross transvestites or whatever, cross-dressers, whatever, there wasn't one political smack. There wasn't one like sideways Trump comment or whatever it happens to be. But because you can't get through anything without somebody making comments like that. But that didn't happen at all. And so I decide that I'm going to this morning, I look up like a review of it or something of Lakaja Falls just to kind of see what they said about it, what the Post-Dispatch said about it. And the headline on this is Lakaja Falls comes with a racial twist. And I'm thinking to myself, oh, this should be interesting because I didn't detect a racial twist. And then it turns out that it was a Lakaja Falls where everybody, like the families, because it's about people who are like a gay guy and he's married to a transvestite and they are transgender or whatever you want to call them. And then they have a son they raised and all this kind of stuff. And the son wants to get married, but now they want to hide the trans lady, trans person and all that kind of stuff. But they said, oh, the entire family structure is black. And I think to myself, oh, well, I didn't even notice. I mean, I knew they were all black, but I didn't really that didn't stand out to me like it would, I guess, a liberal or whatever. These people sometimes on the liberal side are always like counting races and genders and all kinds of stuff. And it's like, man, had you never even told me that it was basically an all black cast member of with the families, I wouldn't have even noticed because I was like, oh, black people on the stage. That doesn't stand out to me. That's not a big deal to me. I mean, it's like, okay, the whole family's black. Well, that makes sense because they're all black. So there are black people and there are black families, and this didn't really change anything for me. But apparently the people in the Post and I guess people who were promoting it thought that was a unique thing. Well, I got news for you. Among normal, average, everyday people, we're not sitting there and counting and noticing gender. We're not tallying genders and things like that. We're just going about our business, going to the Muni, and that's about it. And so it's weird when you see it afterwards and you kind of do the research afterwards, how much of a big deal they made out of the production, when in fact that wasn't the part of the production that was notable. What was notable is the scenery and the costumes and the acting and the singing, and it was like really, really good. And I was just very, very impressed. But the whole black thing just flew right over my head. It just was the strangest darn thing. All right, got a big show for you today. Still waiting for Stephen Moore to pop in. I told you last week, sometimes setting up Stephen Moore to be on the show, you just never know. You never know. And so it's kind of hit and miss with good old Stephen. I've got a guy from the Heritage Foundation. It's not Jimmy. It's one of his colleagues who's an expert in this field of the Russia-U.S. relations. And so he's going to be joining me as well. Brenda Talent, too. And Elizabeth Kaiser from Straight Lines is going to be hanging out as well. So that is where we are at here at the Allman Report and your 3 martini lunch. And so happy to be with you. And I will return. Hey, I can't get my music to play here, dear. What am I doing wrong? Did I do something wrong? Huh? Yeah. Yeah, I can't get
It's
my
up
music
on
to
my
play.
end.
Is it?
Yep.
Huh. Oh, everyone, I can see it playing. It just doesn't do anything for me. Doesn't do anything on my computer.
Is it maybe muted?
Just have to kick it and beat it. That's what you usually do with machinery, right? Reboot it. Unplug it. It's sometimes technology is so simple, you know. All right, it's Common Sense Radio. Jamie Allman here. Happy to be with you. News Talk STL.
This is so stupid.
St. Louis's
Okay, I'm hanging up on you now.
place to talk. News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I got to tell you, I am so pleased, proud, privileged to be part of the Newsteaders Fine Jewelry family right there at Doherty Ferry in Big Bend, wowdiamonds.com. And as I have said before, there are a lot of people out there who are selling diamonds. There are a lot of people out there who are selling lab-grown diamonds. There are a lot of people out there who are selling the mine diamonds. Whatever it happens to be, the fact of the matter is one thing should be a distinguishing factor for you, aside from the quality of the gemstones and the quality of these beautiful wedding sets and the quality of the Frank Sinatra Bulova watches and the quality of the gold, all of it top notch. But you know what? What's even more top notch is the service and the knowledge that comes along with your shopping experience, thanks to the fact that you have real jewelers helping you and not salespeople. You have very godly people who have been in this business for decades. You have Richard Newsteader, who has been in the jewelry business his whole life, since he was 17, working at the old classic Jackards right there in downtown. So you're bringing with you not only a real sense of a commitment to customer service, but also a commitment to what you believe about this world, a commitment to God. God is welcome here, is above the top. So it just stands to reason that that is where you want to be spending your money. And the Newsteaders Fine Jewelry is just amazing. Check it out, wowdiamonds.com. That's wowdiamonds.com.
Would you like to win a full season of mosquito and tick protection? Tim Jones here, the new Mosquito Nix team in St. Louis, celebrating their launch with a bite-free backyard sweepstakes. One lucky family will get their entire yard protected. 10 others will get a free fogging treatment just for entering. Call 636-698-1980 now to enter. 636-698-1980. Keep your yard safe and your summer itch-free. Service area restrictions do apply. Mosquito Nix offers permanent, automatic mosquito and tick protection. It's not just fogging, it's real coverage you don't have to think about. They've already helped over 40,000 families nationwide take back their yards with their automatic mosquito control system. Visit mosquitonix.com to learn more. That's mosquitonix.com, 636-698-1980 to enter the backyard sweepstakes. Keep your yard safe, your summer bite free, 636-698-1980.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new News Talk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you. And right on the guest line is the great Stephen Moore. More money every Sunday here at News Talk STL, Sunday morning and Sunday evening. So it's a double dip time for Stephen Moore, who is in Washington, D.C., and I'm sure among many people in Washington, D.C., thankful for what President Trump is doing to get rid of some crime out there. But how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, and the country's doing well. The economic statistics continue to come in, and they're showing really big improvements from what we inherited from the wreckage of the Biden economy. So it's good. I was looking at all the statistics this morning, and consumer confidence is up, business confidence is up, a lot of money being invested in the United States. We've got low inflation. So, these policies seem to be working, and Trump is really completely committed to getting the middle class back up. And the one thing that I think people are concerned about that I hear is, grocery prices, which are still high and climbing. And I saw beef prices are way up, and so are coffee. coffee prices are up. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I think that's because of the tariffs that we placed on the some of these South American countries that import coffee in the United States.
Stephen Moore, let me ask you, and I'm not trying to cast aspersions on some of these merchants and things like that, but do you think that all of this foreshadowing of the tariffs and their effects on people and their raw goods also caused some of these individuals to raise their prices anyway, even though technically the tariffs aren't really accounting for the entirety of the raised prices?
Well, look, companies, anybody who's in business knows, if you can raise your prices and people will buy your product, you're going to raise your prices. I mean, it's a free market country, right? Businesses can charge what they want and consumers can decide to buy it or not. Prices are pretty tame. I mean, we got that report that came out last week that showed, we're running at about 2.5% inflation. Now, to this morning, we got a bad report on the producer price index, which was up, although there were a couple of factors that were kind of special cases that accounted for that. But for the most part, the tariffs had, in my opinion, a small impact on price increases. Look, if you put a tariff is like a tax, it's almost like a sales tax. So some of that's going to be imposed on, is going to be passed on to the consumers. But on the other hand, let's not forget that Trump has dramatically reduced taxes on businesses that make things here in the United States. So the logic is that the tax is going to be, imposed on consumers on the tariffs. Then by the same logic, if we lower the taxes on our businesses, that they will pass on some of those savings to consumers, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing some Democrats capitalizing on it, but in our circles, at least in the circle of people that I communicate with, whether it be as people who listen to the show or just on the streets, they don't seem to be complaining about it. I mean, there were people who were full ready to accept small increases in some of their prices in exchange for a better deal that will eventually lead to a stronger economy for everybody.
Well, let me put it like this. If you're someone who buys a lot of imported product, like in other words, if you buy a lot of stuff from China, toys and other merchandise from China, those, because of the tariff, those prices are going to go up a little bit, no doubt about it. But on the other hand, if you buy things made in the US of A, if they're made in Michigan or Ohio or Pennsylvania or Missouri or whatever state it is here in the United States, you're probably going to pay a little bit less. So this was by design. Trump wants more of the things that we buy made here, and he wants to put a little penalty on things that are made abroad. And look, I'm a free trade guy. I understand that trade is incredibly important, and we benefited from international trade. But one of the things Trump has done, I think, effectively, is he has reduced the tariffs that other countries are imposing on us. And that's the level playing field that Trump wants. And if you're in business, if you're a farmer or you're a dairy farmer or you're in the technology business or if you're a manufacturer, that that's something that can increase your sales by being able to sell more abroad.
I was about to say, it seems like a lot of the people, even if it is the beef prices, but even beef producers now have experienced a lot of more open markets, and maybe they're not selling yet, but once they do, maybe that'll lead to a reduction in their prices at home.
Could very well. And listen, I think we are going to see over the next, maybe not the next few months, but over the next few years, we're going to see lower prices, partly just because of the productivity improvements from things like robotics and artificial intelligence and other things that drive prices down. So, look, I think I'm bullish on the U.S. economy. I think we've got the best companies in the world. I think we can compete in an open market and a market that is a level playing field. And Trump believes that, too.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Stephen Moore, I know you are a busy man. It was so great to see you get off the air yesterday and then last week. And then about 2 hours later, you're standing in the White House. It was pretty amazing. So you're all over the place. And
well, a lot of those statistics that I gave you, I also I gave to the president, and he liked them a lot. And so that was really cool. And I always enjoy coming on your show. I'm glad people are listening to More Money on Sunday mornings and Sunday nights.
We definitely are. And also subscribing to Unleash Prosperity, that daily newsletter that is totally free. So we appreciate you as always, Stephen Moore.
Thanks. Have a great day, guys.
All right. Thank
Bye.
you. That is Stephen Moore. And that was really cool last week where he did the interview. And then 2 hours later, there he is with Trump, President Trump talking about those labor statistics, which were just absolutely, he was wrecking all of these mainstream media guys. So now we are going to move right to another rock star in the common sense world. Her name is Brenda Talent. She is the CEO of the Show Me Institute. Brenda, welcome to the program. I wanted to ask you a real quick personal question. Have you guys, I mean, when I was driving down to the Muni yesterday, going down Lindell and Forest Park, man, the desolation of these trees and things like that. I mean, it doesn't match, of course, the pain that many people are going through as homeowners. So I'm not, but it was just really, it reminded me that the lasting effects of the tornado are still there. And I know you guys are right in the thick of it. Have you guys gotten back to speed yet on that?
Well, we got back up to speed right away, albeit in temporary quarters. And in fact, we're still in temporary quarters because it's going to be a while before the building that we occupied will be ready for occupancy again. It still doesn't have a roof on it. But you're right. I mean, as you drive down the area where the tornado hit, it is devastating. I mean, we used to have tree-lined, roads. Not anymore. It's just stumps.
Yeah, crazy. All right. I'm so glad you're on top of this. This is the thing that really needs to be addressed. You guys have been on the hunt to get rid or modify the initiative petition thing that we do that I think as far as other states are concerned, it looks like we have the loosest standards when it comes to initiative petitions. And if you could just give us a primer on that, and also your latest example of why we need to get rid of this process or at least modify it.
Well, I would say modify, because you want, the voters of a state to be able to exercise their voice. But right now, the way the process works, for those who are not familiar, if you wanted to, Jamie, or one of your crew or staff want to, you could come up with an idea for a petition. You would write it down, and then you submit it to our Secretary of State. It goes through this approval process. There's a comment period. There's a fiscal note attached to it, like how much it's going to cost. They come up with some ballot language, and then you can go out and circulate it to get signatures. And if you get a certain number of signatures in 6 of our 8 congressional districts, and it's based upon the way they calculate that number is based upon the number of people who voted in our last gubernatorial election. Well, if you get those signatures, then it'll go on the ballot. And now, if you're trying to amend our statutes, the number of votes you have, or number of signatures you have to get, is less than if you want to amend our Constitution. But then when it goes on the ballot, if you get a simple majority, guess what? You win. It becomes law, or it becomes a constitutional amendment. And it is a simple process. And what we have seen in the last several years is that people from outside our state are coming in, and they're the ones generating these types of petitions. I mean, the one on minimum wage and paid sick leave was generated part by national interest. And now we've got a number of initiative petitions that are circulating, some to amend the Constitution, some to amend our statutes. Now, having said that, it's also, if it's a statutory amendment, what can happen is the legislature can come back and they can amend that. So there's no, just because we passed it by initiative petition doesn't insulate it from the legislature if it's a statutory change. Constitutional amendment, of course, would have to go back to the people if the legislature wanted to submit it to the people. And what we get is obviously something called ballot candy.
Mm-hmm.
Where you see these initiative petitions and there's something in there you really like, but you don't know all the other stuff that's in there that you don't like so much. And one of these examples Dave Stokes wrote about recently is the whole constitutional amendment which allows marijuana to be legal in Missouri. And when you look at what happened in that bill, the actual bill is like 38 pages. And in those 38 pages, they changed the definition of what a local government is. For all other purposes, when we talk about local government, you think it could be the county, It can be a municipality. Well, within this particular amendment, they redefine local government when you're talking about counties to only be the unincorporated area. And why does that matter? Because it matters about who could impose a tax on marijuana purchases.
Wow.
And as a consequence, what happens is, St. Louis County, St. Charles County, they can impose a tax, but it's only in those unincorporated areas. And if you think logistically about that and the collection process, it becomes a bit complicated. It's no different with the sick leave thing that we paid. Look, a lot of people see something about minimum wage or paid sick leave, and your reaction is, yeah, why not? But if you go into the minutia of it, you find out that it's incredibly burdensome, and it's not taking into account a lot of different business issues or interests. I mean, if you are a small, I've got some people who want to work part-time, and they specifically want to work part-time. They want to be able to dictate their own schedule. They don't care about sick leave because they just want to, control what they're doing. But to mandate that I have to pay them sick leave when they're not around and they're only working, maybe 2 days a week, maybe, it becomes a little bit crazy, particularly if you're talking about a mom and pop shop where maybe there are only 3 people actually working. So our initiative petition process is messed up. Other states have addressed this by putting in what you would call protections. Protections could be requiring more votes. Protections could be the fact that you have to have like a supermajority. And you can add protections the other way, so that if it does in fact pass, so like if you've imposed a supermajority requirement, you could put in a requirement that says legislature can't come back and change it for, X number of sessions. So you could add protections both ways to make the process a little more deliberative. The other thing we can do, and our courts have really messed this up, is really stick to one subject, because we've seen in these bills, there's a multiplicity of subjects that, and they might be all connected by work-related laws or whatever, but there are very different aspects to that kind of law. And you really would want people to be able to have a voice on these different issues. And so maybe what we need is some changes to say a single subject means single subject, or for every clause, you get to vote for every clause. I mean, if we're gonna act like legislators with our general public, maybe we should allow them to vote on every different aspect of these ballot initiatives.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And, obviously what happens is the initiative petition has been abused by out-of-state operators who just simply want to go around the legislature and figure, as you point out, treating it like it's candy can get people to buy into anything. I mean, look at what happened with the Clean Missouri thing. I mean,
right.
And the question I have, though, and I don't want to be a heretic here as it relates to our Constitution, but it seems to me that if there is a statutory initiative petition focused on a statutory change, isn't the whole process of electing representatives to represent us in the House and Senate of Missouri, isn't that their job to do any statutory changes and leave the initiative petition to only cover constitutional matters?
Well, I think you make a good point, Jamie, but unfortunately, what we have seen is that things that should be statutory are getting in our Constitution. But you're right, we're a representative government. Our principal voice should be coming through our elected officials, who we can vote out of office and vote somebody else in. But and this is part of the problem with Missouri's initiative petition, is what you're seeing is, and the marijuana law is a key one. I mean, it goes into things which no constitution you would say should go into. I mean, it's really going into statutory, regulatory type of issues. The truth is we need a constitutional convention because we need to clean up the Missouri Constitution. Again, we've got things in there that have no business being in a constitution. They should be in statute. And our Constitution and our statutes have grown, like topsy because of the processes that we have in place.
And I know a lot of people, talking with Brenda Talent with the Show Me Institute, I know a lot of people, for a while there, it was really hot and heavy, this idea of a constitutional convention. I know almost 10 years ago, people were talking about it quite a bit. And now that you bring it up again, what would that look like when you have a constitutional convention? What exactly would go on at this convention?
Well, funny you should ask that, Jamie. We actually wrote a paper on it. We get to vote on whether we want a constitutional convention every 12 years, and I forget when it's coming up. It wasn't that long ago that we just voted on it. And the way it's structured is what creates concern, because there's supposed to be this balance among the different areas of the state, a balance among parties, all of those things. And I do think that because of partisanship, it becomes more difficult to do that type of thing. And I think, well, I'm not, in charge, but I think it would be useful if we actually brought together the bright minds in Missouri, both sides, and before we even vote on a constitutional convention, actually have people go through the Missouri Constitution and begin to say, here's what we should be changing, here's what we should be eliminating, and here's where it should go, so that the voters would really understand what that would look like.
Very interesting. And so ultimately you'd have a lot of people who were not necessarily elected, right? But they would come in, the convention would happen. It would be almost like you're picking delegates or whatever to the Constitutional Convention. And then ultimately whatever recommendations, those would be then forwarded to the elected representatives, or how would that work?
Or actually, if you were doing a constitutional convention, it would actually go to the voters for a decision.
Okay, gotcha.
But the other thing you could do, frankly, you could do it with our existing legislature if they had the will. They could begin going through that Constitution and making recommendations, because they can put on the ballot changes to the Constitution, but they're going to have to articulate why that change is needed to convince the voters to change the Constitution. And there are some aspects of it where you would actually have to say to the voters, we're moving this to statute, and you have to take that statutory action to reassure them, but it has no business being in the Constitution. I think it really is interesting when you have these constitutional amendments, because you have to make the argument to the public about why there needs to be a change one way or the other.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea, and I know that it used to be more fringy of an idea back in the day, but I think now, as we're taking a fresh look at so many different things, it seems like it's completely and totally reasonable. So, well, Brenda Talent, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you. You all go to showmeinstitute.org and you can see actually everything we're talking about, the David Stokes' paper and the write-up on the Constitutional Convention and everything else. So, Brenda, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, Jamie.
All
Take
right.
care.
That is Brenda Talent, people. So, I love this. It's Victor Davis Hanson. He talked about President Trump being a counter-revolutionary. And I really love that concept. And we'll talk about that coming up. Also get a primer from the Heritage Foundation on what exactly is going to be happening tomorrow with Vlad the Impaler and President Donald Trump the Impaler. This is Common Sense Radio.
News Talk STL, always streaming on your smart speaker, our mobile app, or newstalkstl.com.
Window World people, I'm so happy that they are part of my show. They're celebrities of sorts, in the window world, and Window World is really great. In terms of being a celebrity, of course, the Good Housekeeping seal of approval, Qualified Remodeler magazine's like, yeah, man, you guys are like number one in window sales. And so the reason for all of that is because people love the look of these windows. As replacement windows, they are unusually beautiful. A lot of people kind of half-bake a window that's a replacement window, because if you notice, it's a replacement window, not a big deal. No, these are high-quality windows. They are double-paned. They are thermally superior to all the rest of the windows out there. And ladies and gentlemen, they are priced just right. That's why we call them simply the best for less. 314-993-1800, 314-993-1800, and the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. On top of that, Window World loves its windows so much. It has so much faith in its windows that they are providing a lifetime warranty on the windows, covering all parts, glass breakage, and, of course, labor. Window World, simply the best for less. 314-993-1800.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stifel is invested in yours. That's why Stifel is one of the fastest growing global wealth management firms in the country. So whether you're an advisor or an investor, choose Stifel, where success means success. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Join Aaron Tarlow every Sunday night at 9 on News Talk STL for Shall Not Be Infringed, your voice for Second Amendment rights and firearms education. Brought to you by DG Firearms, Kevin's Guns, Osage County Guns, and Full Circle Reloading and Firearms.
It's up. I've got it. Oh, you know what? This is the second time I've done that, Ashlyn. Like, I'm ready to rock and roll with the next segment, and I've got yet another proud sponsor of the Allman Report to speak about. So that's good news, and that's not bad trouble to have. Ladies and gentlemen, Rick Pogue was on with me yesterday, and of course, the Hideout is his place. He and Jake do such a great job with the Hideout. Last night, it was just a beautiful night. They call it bike night because a lot of the people in the biking community come out, hang out there. So it's a wonderful time. So if you are a motorcyclist and you want a place to hang out and have some great food, their burgers are absolutely great. The wings are fantastic. The coldest beer you're going to find anywhere in the land. And the best employees you're going to find too, because Jake and Rick take really super good care of their employees. And on any other night, hey, listen, they've got lunch and dinner 7 days a week. And they've got the dinners, by the way, that they've introduced, the more fancy dinners, so to speak, the steak dinners, chicken dinners, fish dinners. So they want to make sure that a lot of people, some people come in, well, just have a drink before we go out to dinner. Well, actually, you can have a drink and then just order dinner right in the same place. It's called the Hideout. It's 10 minutes south of 270 and Gravois. And what a wonderful, vibrant place. They've got live music during the week and on weekends as well. So it's really a ton of fun. So anytime that you have a weekend, some people's weekends are a little different. So sometimes they're Tuesday and Wednesday. So you're set with the Hideout. And don't forget about Hideout number 2, which is right there at the Sugar Creek Golf Course. It's the Hideout.
Colombo and Company.
The state auditor is looking into the payout made to the Francis House superintendent that never even started the job. We'll discuss it Thursday with Rep. Justin Sparks plus Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on News Talk STL.
Representative Leach, are you aware that my grandfather was an assistant attorney general for the state of Texas?
No. Congratulations.
Are you aware that he represented Texas in front of the United States Supreme Court 9 times?
No. Are you aware that my dad worked for Oscar Mayer for 25 years and drove the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile?
That's a funny one from the state of Texas. The Wienermobile guy was Jeff Leach, who's a state representative there, and this Democrat trying to shame him. Because she knows more about redistricting than everything else and trying to come in there and talk about her grandfather and all that stuff. Oh, hey, Julie, you saw that too, huh? Yeah, I probably watched that 20 times because it was so darn good. It was so darn good, yeah. Remember when Melania wore her V for Vendetta hat at the inauguration. Man, I loved it when she did that. You know, to me, Melania Trump, had Rachel Jackson lived to see Andrew Jackson's inauguration, Rachel Jackson would have been just like Melania Trump now. Rachel Jackson was the most abused first lady, so to speak, even though she never made it to first lady because she died of a heart attack because of all the stress of not only having the election stolen from Andrew Jackson first in 24, but then the next time around when he ran again and became the first president outside of the Eastern Seaboard to win the presidency, she was called a cheater and everything in the book. It was the first time in American history that the wife of a person running was dragged through the mud. Melania Trump is no exception. The kind of abuse that Melania Trump has taken throughout the campaign and throughout the presidency, the lies that have been told about her. And so by the time it rolled around when President Trump won his second term and inauguration time, I was so happy. I was kind of sad because I took Natalie up there. We actually wanted to be at the inauguration, but it was moved inside and all this stuff. So we kind of had to watch it via closed circuit. But I was so glad that President Trump did not pull any punches and was not conciliatory in any way, shape, or form. I think most of us who voted for him, most of America, didn't expect him to be conciliatory. And I thought the best part of all of it is that the people that he was eviscerating had to sit there 3 feet away from him and listen to it. And it was beautiful. It was great. And I know that they say vengeance is unchristian, but this isn't vengeance. It's constructive retribution. It's taking back what people tried to take from you and steal from you. And you can't imagine the kind of pain. I can't imagine what it was like for Melania Trump. And I can't imagine what it's like to be watching this unfold. Your husband's indicted wrongly, and you are smeared constantly. And it's one of those things where, and Melania Trump speaks 5 different languages, is the most beautiful first lady who ever lived, and is also an immigrant, a legal one. And yet she hasn't made the cover of one so-called celebrated magazine in the country featuring her, whatever. I don't know whether People magazine ever got around to it, whatever. Not that we really need that or anything, and not that Melania needs it, but the fact that there are so many women out there in positions of power and influence and everything else who betray their own gender just out of spite for Melania Trump. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty amazing to watch that. So Melania, and this doesn't really get a whole lot of attention in the mainstream media, but Melania is basically taking no prisoners. When she wore that hat at the inauguration, that was absolutely a statement. And it was great. It was amazing. And so in the past month, here's what First Lady Melania Trump has done. She's threatened to sue Hunter Biden for $1 billion over the lies he's telling about Epstein and their relationship with Epstein and everything else. And she should sue Hunter Biden. I mean, I'm telling you what, it used to be back in the day. Yeah, and Julie points out, are these magazines even still in print? Probably not. I mean, Cosmopolitan. Who the hell reads Cosmopolitan now, or even has it on their coffee table or what have you? It's not even. I don't even think it's in dentist's office anymore. But anyway, I said this before when Hunter Biden, who basically the Bidens are probably like the most trailery trash family that ever walked the face of the earth in Washington, D.C. in politics. And no offense to people who live in trailers, but you know what I mean by trailer trash. They are white trash too. And I wouldn't ever even play lawn jarts with these people because they're that sick. But Hunter Biden, it used to be, he's everybody has an addict in their family, and we have to be this. And for a while there, I kind of had that attitude, and now I don't have that attitude at all about it. I think this guy is really a dirtbag and should be and should get everything coming to him. But he lied about her. She should sue him. She forced the Daily Beast to retract similar lies about her and Donald Trump. They had to retract their statements about it. And she even forced James Carville to apologize for comments that he made as well. So it used to be that maybe you could count on the first lady just kind of staying quiet, whatever. But in this day and age, we're seeing every facet of Trump world not taking any crap from anybody. I'm so glad that Melania is no exception, because she's definitely not taking any crap from anybody, and that's good to see. Which leads me into what I'm wanting to tell you about next. I think this is really a concept we should enjoy, and I'll also get to the news media now acquiescing finally to this idea that crime fighting is not a good idea. It's not a good investment in your political future when you're fighting crime fighting, and it's not paying off. But also, when it comes to President Trump as a counter-revolutionary, I thought Victor David Hanson really put this beautifully, because we're trying to figure, when you're looking for ways to describe what is going on out here, like what's really happening. And it turns out this really isn't as much of a revolution as it is a counter-revolution. I mean, the whole Smithsonian thing is a great example of that. And there is a former Democrat. She just laid out this person on CNN. She's great. I wish she and Melania would get together. Melania's not all that public, but I'll explain who that is coming up as well. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Don't forget, hit those like buttons on Rumble as well as on Facebook. And make sure you also support all the people who support News Talk STL. This is the 3 Martini Lunch. You ought to be just about wrapping up number 2.
Attention St. Charles, looking for a local spot that satisfies all your cravings? Mario's Donut Restaurant is your place to go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From mouth-watering sandwiches and omelets to delicious gyros, Mexican dishes, salads, and wraps, we've got it all. And don't forget our famous donuts. They're so good, they'll make your eyes glaze over. Dine in or carry out. Our friendly staff is ready to serve you with love and care. Mention News Talk STL when you visit. Call 636-447-4515 or visit mariosdonutrestaurant.com.
Tony Colombo here for my dentist, Dr. Matt Boscia at New Creation Dental Care, the one-stop shop for all your family's dental needs. And Dr. Boscia is always expanding his services, now including the incredible all-on-4 full arch implant procedure, full mouth restoration that can give you back your smile in as little as 1 day. No more suffering with damaged or missing teeth or poor-fitting dentures. You can see some amazing smile makeovers, learn more about the all-on-4 procedure, and see everything Dr. Boscia can do right now at newcreationdentalcare.com.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Hi, Kirk Hilsinger here, and I'm the new chairman of the St. Louis Republican Central Committee. I invite you to our meetings that take place the first Thursday of every month at 3710 Hampton Avenue. You can stay connected with us to learn more about how you can get involved, make your voice heard, and contribute to our shared goals. Together, we can make a difference in the city of St. Louis and the state of Missouri. For more info, visit our new website at stl-gop.com. That's stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm John Scott. President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin meet Friday in Anchorage, Alaska. Former Trump Deputy National Security Advisor Victoria Coates says it makes sense for President Trump not to promise a major outcome from this summit.
I think what you're seeing is the president being very realistic. He's been very frustrated by Putin. He thought that, building on the relationship they had in the first term, he might be able to get farther with Ukraine. Putin's been really obstreperous. I think he is bolstered, Putin is, by his relationship with China.
Coates, now with the Heritage Foundation, was interviewed on the Salem Radio Network. President Trump promising severe consequences for Russia if no peace settlement is reached. 3 sheriff's deputies shot while executing warrants in Southern Virginia. They were shaken up but doing well. Bernie Bennett with the report.
Pittsylvania County Sheriff Michael Taylor said the warrants were for brandishing a firearm and trespassing. The deputies were also serving a protective order. Sheriff Taylor told reporters there was an hours-long standoff, but it ended peacefully and with the suspected shooter in custody. Republican Congressman John McGuire, who represents Virginia's 5th Congressional District, said in a post on X that his thoughts and prayers were with the deputies, and he also extended his thoughts and prayers to their families. Pittsfield County is located along the state's southern border with North Carolina, about 98 miles northwest of Raleigh. Bernie Bennett reporting.
New sandbag-style barriers installed along a river in Alaska's capital city held back record levels of flooding and prevented widespread damage after an ice dam at the nearby Mendenhall Glacier released a massive amount of rainwater and snowmelt downstream. Some of the District of Columbia's homeless residents are packing their belongings before an expected sweep to clear out the remaining encampments around the nation's capital. This is part of President Trump's crackdown on crime. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates, real solutions for real people.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Not too bad today, partly cloudy skies, and I'll still call it hot, but only upper 80s, and that heat index into the low to mid 90s by this afternoon. But boy, the heat really settles in tomorrow. After a quiet start, we're going to see clear skies and low 70s in the morning, but highs tomorrow in the mid 90s, and that starts a heat wave that will last for the next 5 days. I'm KMOV First Alert meteorologist Kent Earhart.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros, your all-in-one gutter service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. We discovered Gutter Pros a few years ago when we bought our home and inherited a gutter issue that was on the road to becoming a potentially big problem, but thanks to Gutter Pros was stopped before causing any major damage. They've also repaired the siding on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros are also the best for siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros can help your home at gutterpros.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
Number one for live and local
conservative talk.
I've been a registered Democrat for 28 years. I'm really glad you're talking about this. You gotta love these idiots out here. They think we're all stupid, I guess.
news, analysis, opinion.
Totally agree on that. I disagree with you.
It's over.
Very upset.
Thanks for taking my call. Thanks for taking my call. Thank you for taking my call. Thank you very much for taking my call.
Wanted to ask you really quick. Is there room on the bandwagon for me?
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion.
It almost seems common sense, but, alas, common sense isn't so common these days.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, I just, today closed on another home and just was really super, super happy to have partnered with Jordan Rosenblum to make all this happen. And I got to tell you, this is really, really incredible what they were able to do for you. I want you to Google the bagel loan and you'll see what Stewart'sAMC.com, Stewie's American Mortgage, will do for you, whether you're buying a home, whether you are refining, or whether you are debt consolidating. Great time to do it. There's no bad time to do it. I know a lot of people, when it comes to interest rates and stuff, are like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do it. Well, when you work with Jordan and Stewie, it's going to happen for you. They're going to make it happen. And all your fears about fees and interest rates and all that kind of stuff will go away when you consider the fact they're going to give you the lowest interest rate and zero closing costs when you're buying a home. The lowest interest rate and zero closing costs when you're refining. And these lenders out there are nickel and diming people. It's kind of part of the whole thing. It's a dirty little secret in the lending community. And because I remember, because when I was talking about this once on the air, I got a note from somebody. I put something on Facebook, and this woman's like, "My husband, blah, blah, blah." I go, "Well, your husband's been ripping people off. So don't crab at me, because Stewart and Jordan have a better idea and a better process and actually do such a volume in loans that they don't have to charge somebody $300 for a credit pull. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So Jordan, and I love it, the fact there are some people who I talk to and they're like, yeah, I have this thing happen. This one happened to me and I had this foreclosure, whatever. And it's like, no sweat. We'll make it work. And if I can't make it work, I'll tell you I can't make it work, but we'll normally make it work. So anyway, debt consolidations, refis, home buying. You can't go wrong with the bagel loan. Brought to you by Stewie's American Mortgage, Stewart'sAMC.com.
This hour of the Allman Report brought to you by Proctor Drapery Blinds and Shutters. Proctor, spelled like doctor. ProctorDrapery.com.
It's all over us, like I always was, like I always was.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, happy to be with you. Ashlyn over there coming up. Steve Yates from the Heritage Foundation knows a little bit about what is going to be happening at this summit in Alaska with Vladimir Putin and President Donald Trump. It's so amazing. It's so amazing, all these little pearl clutching peanut gallery members. This is a terrible idea. It's like, well, the only ideas you've ever had is Russia's a mortal enemy, and let's just keep on funding and draining the treasury for Ukraine. And that's just not workable anymore. It's not real. It's not tolerable. And so you can take the 1984 Cold War mentality, and we can get on with the business of taming some of these despot leaders. I consider Zelensky a despot too, and anybody who doesn't read. So I don't know who's worse. And Obama, by the way, is the one who let Putin run the show. I mean, everybody talks about Putin and Trump being boyfriends and all this kind of, and mocking them. Obama was the one who was cucked by Vladimir Putin, not Trump. I'm just letting you know. All right, this was great from Victor David Hansen. You talk about thinking outside of the box. That's what this is all about. And Victor is great. I mean, he lays it out there. And there's a reason why everybody is going crazy over pretty much everything Trump does. And I include some of these people who are in the conservative commentariat. They always have something to say about it. And they didn't know anything 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and now suddenly they know everything and think they're smarter than President Trump. And the reality is, yeah, there might be some things that President Trump does that you could, look at and say, well, I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen or whatever. That's fine. I mean, that's okay. But don't act like, when President Trump is changing things up, don't act like somehow he's an affront to the way everything's always been or what's normal or what have you. We're in a new normal. Listen, you've watched The Chosen before, right? And again, please, I'm not comparing President Trump to Jesus. I'm just saying, all these Pharisees and Sadducees and all the scribes, all these phonies, we're all kind of getting all over Jesus about him paying attention to people who didn't deserve to have attention paid to them in the eyes of the deep state of Jerusalem, the deep state of the Holy Land, which were the Pharisees and the scribes. And they were, you shouldn't do it. Why are you talking to those people? Why are you doing that? And Jesus always said, because it's a new day. It's a new thing. This is new. Thus the New Testament. This is new, dudes. And you're going to either get used to it or you're going to go away. And of course, that's when the Pharisees and the Sadducees plotted with the Romans to kill him. And the rest is history. So anyway, similarly, we have a bunch of people who don't like President Trump because he's talking to people that they read on the internet are terrible people or whatever. And they've been saying it on the radio for 20 years. And now suddenly they don't like to have to change their minds about it. And we're in a new normal. This is the new day. And Trump is telling all the Sadducees and the Pharisees and the deep state and the commentariat, it doesn't matter what you think is normal or what you think it should be because you're the one who's voted Republican all your life, whatever. This is a new day. This is a new time. Victor David Hansen puts it very well.
We're watching the greatest counter-revolution in some 90 years. We have not seen any president try to radically change the political calculus and the nature of government since FDR did it during the New Deal. Donald Trump is winning on all of these social and cultural issues. People are angry about this counter-revolution for two reasons. It's succeeding, and it's succeeding beyond anybody's wild expectations.
Yeah, and the greatest part about this is that President Trump is drawing in so many people who otherwise were disengaged from politics and even their elected officials because they didn't think they listened to them. I've gone on this rant before, so you know what I'm saying is that frankly, unfortunately, has been the way that many people in the Uniparty have wanted it. They want a bunch of anesthetized citizens who don't pay attention to what they're doing, don't care, and have given up on the idea of their government and their constitution helping them. And so they just quit and don't vote and do all this kind of stuff. President Trump has newly engaged people in the American process and engage people in their own futures. And that's by talking to them and by, listen, all the little things that he does. I mean, even remember back in the day when President Trump was talking about, low flow toilets, right? You got to flush your toilet like 5 times. Well, all of the deep state effete officious, elites and in the media and everything else, and some Republicans too, listen to him talking about flushing toilets. Ha ha ha. It's like, well, you know what? That probably mattered more to some people listening to him say that than any other lofty thing they might be talking to or he might be talking to. Because he understands even the littlest of these kinds of problems that people have. And it is a thing. It might not be the biggest thing in the world, obviously, but you know what I'm talking about. That is symbolic of what President Trump is trying to do, and that is show us a new way and release us from this regulatory suffocation that we've experienced in our lives and release us from the uniparty's purposeful destruction of our economy and constant engagement in the support of the military industrial complex. It's a brand new thing. No wonder these guys all want to kill him. And again, my only concern is what happens after his second term. That's going to be a real big thing. And it's going to be something that we're going to have to really pay attention to, because all of the usual suspects are just kind of waiting around thinking, well, 2028, we'll just go back to Romney and all that stuff and whatever. And so we have to show our power and our voices, and we have to make them heard.
Because it's working. There's another reason why they're angry. We're going to see in the next year a frenzy, a frantic, almost out of mind reaction from the left. Brace yourself. We're looking at the resistance coming up to the counter-revolution, and it's going to be fierce and unhinged.
Yeah, and good. Because as I've said before, sometimes it's not a bad thing to have a war. Sometimes it's not a bad thing to have a full-on, head-on conflict and force the situation to where someone's got to win and someone has to lose. I'm not calling for some kind of, a civil war or some kind of armed thing, where, but you know what I mean? It's an idea collision. And I believe somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. There's no such thing, in my opinion. I think we need to give up on the idea of bipartisanship. That's not what this country was built on anyway. Bipartisanship refers to parties anyway, and as I told you, the founding fathers hated political parties. They thought they were gauche. And so we're now going to move past all of that, and this is going to be a coalition of the common sense of you and me, of people out there, people who otherwise were never really part of our sphere before, are now part of it, and we'll work on that as well. So, again, this resistance, which is why also it's pivotally important that the midterms see an increase in common sense conservative victories. We can't, if the only way the Democrats will pick up more seats in the House enough to do the impeachment stuff is if Republicans don't work hard enough for him and for the Make America Great Again movement. And I believe we got to watch out, because that's going to be what they think is going to be their solution if they just kind of let the Make America Great Again movement die on the vine without continuing to water it. Don't put it past some of these Republicans, because that's what some of them want. I guarantee you Lindsey Graham wants it. And some of these other Republicans who want to kind of stop having to work so hard. Victor David Hanson. I call him David. It's Davis Hanson, so I should get my stuff. This isn't from the Daily Signal.
Victor Davis Hanson for the Daily Signal. We're watching the greatest counter-revolution in some 90 years.
So anyway, that's you could check that out at the Daily Signal, and it's really cool. Before I take off here to then pick up on our guys over at the Heritage Foundation, I want to give you an example of how President Trump's ideas and those kinds of things ultimately will be so commonsensical it'll start to wear even the legacy media down. As I said at the beginning, they're finding out that it really isn't a good idea to fight crime fighting. Normal, average, everyday Americans don't like that. And Joe Scarborough on MSNBC had to admit it.
The answer to this problem for Democrats is not, oh, everything's okay. There's nothing to see here. Move along. Oh, Washington has dropped 24% or whatever in crime. Well, let me give you some other numbers. The Washington Post took a poll in late April, early May. 91% of Washington residents say crime is a problem. 91%. 51%, it is an extremely serious problem. And John Heilman, we've had people before put this in racial terms. And this is, I must say, this is one thing that I think Democrats have gotten so wrong about crime. Let me just read the Washington Post here. There are stark divides among lines of race and income in the poll, with Black residents and lower income residents significantly more worried about crime than white residents and those with higher incomes.
Otherwise known mostly as Democrats, who once again always find a way to betray minorities and the poor. That's the Democrat way. And they're going to pay for it now. Hey, coming up, Steve Yates from the Heritage Foundation with a primer on what's going to be happening in Alaska tomorrow between President Trump and Vladimir Putin. This is Common Sense Radio.
I think we should be able to have a civil conversation.
The news and talk that matters to St. Louis.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity.
News Talk STL.
Ladies and gentlemen, Grasser Electric. Oh, Shane has been a supporter of free Common Sense Radio since I came up with the term back in 2005. That's how long Shane Grasser, to the point now where the little kid I met, Shane Grasser's son, is now also helping to run the company. So that's how long we've been together. Grasser Electric is amazing at what it does. It is so reliable, not only in terms of supporting your brand of radio, but also in terms of making sure no job too big or too small, that they can get anything taken care of for you that might be stymieing you at your house. You might have that flickering light in your house that's bothering you in the bathroom and you can't figure it out. You try screwing it in, changing the light bulb, whatever, a loose wire, something like that. Let Grasser Electric take care of it. And if you are remodeling and you want to rewire a certain part of your home, Grasser Electric will take care of that too. If you are in the commercial end, they do both residential and commercial. If you are tired of undergoing power outages during the storms and the power outages are lasting a week, how about the backup generator from Grasser Electric? Really easily installed. It's a great brand, a great price, and you will love what Grasser Electric can do for you. No job too big or too small. Support the electric company, the electricians that support you. GrasserElectric.com. That's GrasserElectric.com.
Hey, are you looking for windows that solve your problems and add value to your home? Renewal by Andersen has you covered. Andersen products increase the home value by at least 15%. Right now, get $329 off every window, $729 off every patio or entry door. And ask about our zero interest plan for 3 years. Renewal by Andersen, the full-service replacement division of Andersen, a name you've trusted for over 122 years. Our exclusive FiberX frames, 200% stronger than vinyl. It's why we have more 5-star reviews than anyone in St. Louis. And only Renewal by Anderson backs it up with the nation's best warranty. Schedule your complimentary consultation now at rbastl.com or call 877-WINDOWS. 877-WINDOWS. Renewal by Anderson. Superior products, exceptional service.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at newstalkstl.com.
Brought to you by Heroes Care, Alamo Military Collectibles, and Monocle's Pizza.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community. Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Free speech is alive and well in America right here.
It's about time somebody stood up for true American values.
What this country needs is some backbone.
Finally, a president who wants to make real change.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here, super happy to be with you. And you all know the Heritage Foundation is just an amazing place, giving us all kinds of great experts. Probably the one you know and are more familiar with would be Jim Carafano, but I've got a new buddy, too, another one, and his name is Steve Yates, and he is an expert in the field of these Russia-U.S. relations and has a few things to say about what's going to be happening tomorrow. Steve Yates, welcome to the show. How you doing, my friend?
I'm very well. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you very much. So what? How is this going to go? What can we expect? And to some of the people who say it's not a good idea, what is your response? Or maybe you agree with that.
Oh, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a necessary one. We're not left with great or good options. We're left with the options that are the fruits of 3 years of neglect and then war that's been protracted. And that's always going to be a hard proposition. So I support the president's effort at trying to explore options that might stop the killing, hold the peace, and then try to carve out a different path to peace and prosperity. Getting there is tough, but really you don't get anywhere good if you don't at least have the talks. That's what realist foreign policy used to always be about, and Trump is kind of a revival of that. Trump is also the most transparent president and maybe the most transparent human the planet has ever experienced.
Yeah.
And so we have really no illusion about what his expectations are, and I think he's right.
Yeah, I really, it's pretty amazing because I know there are a lot of naysayers out there, but they haven't had any good ideas for decades themselves. And, so we have this going on and there's this really almost immature view of Putin that, you should never even speak to him because he's such an awful person. Well, listen, President Trump went to see Kim Jong-un. It's not like President Trump is going to go and kiss up to Putin. And so what will be the dynamic of this meeting? I know that you're also a student of history. So what is this going to look like?
Well, this is going to look differently depending on what actions are taken afterwards. I mean, the president has been very honest and open that Putin has not followed through on what seemed to be positive conversations they'd had by phone and by way of their envoy. So he's wise to the idea that that Putin might say one thing, but then the attacks continue. President Trump also has ratcheted up pressure. He also kind of put a buzzer under the behinds of Europeans to make sure that they were paying more for Europe and for themselves. So if this doesn't go the way the president and reasonable people might hope, that we're getting towards some kind of a ceasefire, then Europe is in a better position to take care of other Europeans without this having to be a perpetual overdraw on the America account. Hopefully, though, the combination of this pressure, a little bit of an awakening in Europe, incomplete process, and maybe the promise of what good could come if Putin will be reasonable is enough to move to the follow-on conversation. But the president's been clear, this is a step. This is not an end in this meeting.
Yeah, and part of it too, I think, when President Trump was urging these European nations to beef up their own commitment to their defenses, if this idea, which I don't believe it's true, that Putin somehow is going to just start to take over the world, then they're better equipped to defend themselves if that ever happens. And I know there are some concerns about, well, what happens? Is Putin going to ask for some parts of Ukraine, some land? Or is there going to be a deal made to give up Donbass or anything like that? So what do you think is going to happen there?
Well, I mean, I expect people to come in with maximal positions. That's what rational people do when they're entering a negotiation. The President Trump is playing mediator, and that role could shift over time. But we're not directly in the conflict, and I think President Trump is allergic to being directly involved in the conflict. Probably a view shared by a majority of Americans, and so I expect Putin to be pushing to the max. I expect the Europeans and Zelensky to be pushing to the max. And Trump has to sort of take that input and try to shift to, okay, we don't all get what we want, but he's spent his whole life dealing with people pushing to the max, and I think he can handle it. So I'd say let him cook. Let's see what comes of this. I am reassured that he's had a bit of a sobriety checkpoint in what Putin can try to do over the last 6 months, but he's also very shrewd about the correlation of power. The revival of America is the best deterrent against Russia and maybe a revisionist China too. And they have to see that we are hitting on all cylinders as best we can right now. And so they should be looking to make a deal now rather than after we're stronger.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that too, about President Trump being a mediator, because I think even especially among the news media and everything else, that somehow this peace will be his responsibility, and if there's not, then it's his fault, which of course doesn't make any sense. And I think the more it's looked upon as President Trump being the mediator as opposed to the ultimate problem solver, because it's going to be up to these two other guys here and Europe, as you say.
Absolutely. A lot of people are stakeholders in this, as we might say, and it is vital to frame it in that way. But we've all seen what the media and the critics will do. Anything that Trump does is by definition horrible beyond all belief and doomed to fail. So that's their starting point. And if it happens to work, it's temporary. And if there's a stumble, well, it's his fault. But I don't think anyone can reasonably say that there's another human on the planet other than Donald Trump that could have a shot at carving out a deal. I mean, Joe Biden, Vice President Harris, the NATO leaders, lots of others wade into this pond. The Chinese played around for a bit. No one else was able to do anything. So this is the shot.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think that far from this illusion portrayed by some of the detractors, this isn't a flattery of Vladimir Putin. I mean, this is something, everybody's like, well, look, he's getting all this attention. That's just what he wants. I think it's more complicated than that.
Yeah, there is a logical possibility that they meet and Trump says that's enough and we're all going home. And Putin's not going to stick around on American territory if that's what happens. And people wonder, oh, well, that won't happen. Well, that's exactly what happened in the negotiations with Kim Jong-un. When things weren't showing any forward progress, looked like they were breaking apart, Trump walked away. And he may come back another time and circumstance. But there's no reason, if you look dispassionately at how President Trump conducts negotiations, to think that this is sort of a one and done or, oh no, it's some kind of a trap. It's on American territory, yes. But I think Alaska helps remind people of a lot of the big equities that are at play. And it also should be a reminder that there are some positives if Putin can get his country's leadership moving in a reasonable direction. Not right away. They've done bad things, but there is a future if they choose it.
Yes, and by the way, you are the former deputy national security advisor for Vice President Cheney, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, and I guess President Trump is kind of in terms of the use of or the defense and all that kind of stuff. Has a little bit different approach, and it's interesting that you probably have seen throughout your career a myriad of these foreign policy approaches.
Yeah, a million different approaches. And, I would say basically, the world has changed a lot from that time when I was working for the vice president. He had a throwaway line that kind of hurt my little boy feelings at the time that he paid me for advice, but he was under no obligation to take it. I thought that was brutal, but it's proven a true principle in a lot of parts of my life. But the world of the post 9/11 decisions, right or wrong, whatever they were, is just not the world we have today. It's a different economy. It's a different set of security challenges. And I think President Trump is the first post-globalist president we've ever had. And so there's just a lot of pivots and rebalances that are going on. I'm astonished at the breadth of work he's undertaken, but I support the broad change of direction. And I really hope he's successful tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think, too, to a certain degree, Steve Yates, that in many ways, it was not only turned out that President Trump was making America great again, but it seems like some of these other European countries, and indeed even other continents like Africa and South America, they're also feeling a little greater again, which I think is starting to rub off on some of these guys.
Well, I think it turns out when you have a president that is serious about peace, if you're willing to do the work to get it, is serious about prosperity and knows prosperity in ways most presidents don't. The average U.S. president hasn't really built a business or run anything other than maybe another government, a state government, or cast votes in a legislature. So, we have a serious president when it comes to peace and prosperity. He is really blowing the doors open on investment and getting ahead of the curve on AI infrastructure and a whole host of things. That's a massive opportunity for Latin America and some other areas. They don't want to be colonized by Chinese vulture capitalists. They would love to be a part of a prosperous and friendly America. So I think that there's a huge opportunity out there done right. It's almost hard to remember, though. We're only 7 months in to a presidency. It's astonishing how much is at play and how much has been done in this short period of time.
Boy.
But it's really been a brief period.
Yeah, I'd say. Well, Steve Yates, it's been a pleasure having you on the air, and it's just kind of weird, too, because I'm talking to you now, and there's a television in the studio, and it's a replay from the Newsmax today. I think it was earlier, and there you are. So I was like, oh, that's it. So you're all over the place, buddy.
2 places at once. That's awesome.
Right on. Okay, well, Steve Yates, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Take good care.
All right, thank you. Yeah, that's it. Really, really interesting that you had a guy who was the former deputy national security advisor to basically a warmonger like Dick Cheney, although I don't think he would call him that. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but what I'm saying to him, what I'm saying is, I'm glad he pointed that out, because I have a feeling that as an advisor to Cheney, as Cheney points out, hey, I know you're my advisor, but I pay you for that, but I don't have to take it. And it seems like there was probably a lot of that kind of conversation going on. Steve Yates, as you can tell, is very consistently a individual who absolutely is living what this is here. Like, it's not like he's just morphed into from a globalist to a non-globalist. He has absolutely wisely been able to see the tea leaves and appropriately react to those in that way. So good guy, and Heritage is a great place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth Kaiser is on the way in. We'll be talking to her about a multitude of things. This is a 3-martini lunch you're involved in right now, so get with it. Don't mosey. Bottoms up, people. This is Common Sense Radio and the Allman Report.
talk about race relations.
This conversation has completely made me crazy.
This is complete insanity. And I'm sick and tired of it.
1019 and 94.1.
I find it to be a conversation starter.
News Talk STL.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Hanson's Tree Service, hansonstree.com. And I got to tell you, Jeff Hanson and Hanson's Tree is, I love these guys. And Chad is a wonderful human being. I've known him since he was a little guy. And he's, when Jeff Hanson was teaching him all of the tricks, and the late, great Jeff Hanson. But Chad is creating the dream. He is creating the dream and continuing the dream that Jeff Hanson had for this tree company, which is, of course, making things super affordable to you and for you when you're having trees taken down or in a situation where you are needing deadwooding and pruning. And a lot of you people know your trees have suffered greatly through not only the harsh winter, which was really obnoxious, but also then this really super hot summer, not to mention the big storms that have been going on. So you're in a situation where you need the best tree service in the area. You need also an affordable tree service, and they are. And even as affordable as they are, if you need a little help, then they also have financing plans for you as well. Don't forget, for all your fall planting, they have their Magic Bean, which is a composting mixture, which is great. I called it the Magic Bean, so they keep on using that terminology because it is absolutely magic. And don't forget, if you are mulching, they've got the best mulch you're going to find anywhere in the land. Hanson'sTree.com. That's Hanson'sTree.com.
If you have a tree that you think is dead, it might not be dead. Why don't you try to save it first with Roots Plus? Roots Plus can help you save your tree and keep your cash. RootsPlusLLC.com. That's RootsPlusLLC.com or 314-440-3662.
As you know, Vincent's is not just my favorite jeweler. Vincent's is my only jeweler. And I was in recently looking at lab-grown diamonds. These are not glass. They are actual diamonds, but they cost a fraction of a natural diamond. You can check them out at Vincent's.com, or better yet, see these lab-grown diamonds in person. You're going to be amazed at the beauty and the price. Vincent's Jewelers, Vincent'sJewelers.com.
Hey, St. Louis golfers, looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Gemini Wealth Group, if you are about to retire or you are in retirement right now, and I'm going to start saying some things that aren't familiar to you, that means you need to get a hold of the Gemini Wealth Group, the GeminiWealthGroup.com. 314-880-0123. And here is the deal. Are you adequately diversified? Have you adequately diversified your investments? Have you just stuck on one thing? Have you used anybody to help you diversify your investments? What about the situation, your tax liabilities and your health liabilities? Do you know, because you're such a health nut, right, that you could be living 20, 30 years after you retire, and the last thing you want to do at that 25-year mark is start to check the folds of the couch for some extra change so you can pay the rent. You got to make sure you're prepared, and a lot of people really surprisingly aren't because they haven't been thinking long term. The Gemini Wealth Group will hold your hand through this entire process and help you out. 314-888-0123. That is the phone number for Jeff Portman, who is the esteemed CEO of the Gemini Wealth Group. So if you are newly retired or if you're about to retire, whatever it happens to be, make sure the Gemini Wealth Group is right by your side, the GeminiWealthGroup.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
On the eve of the Trump-Putin summit, are we closer to the Ukraine war ending or not?
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Number one for live and local
Conservative talk.
You can take these facts.
I know for a fact.
It's just about time. It's not now. When? Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it. Oh, I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that, and well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Jamie Allman here with you. You know, Death Cab for Cutie is like one of my favorite bands. I love their songs. And I'll have to put the video up on Facebook. I was going to not do it, but I guess I will. So the other night I'm sitting at the pool having a drink, and the sun is down, and so is the moon, which is really crazy. So I decided to make a video of the moon rising. Have you ever seen a moon rise before? It was rising like right in front of my eyes. It was beautiful. It was orange at first and then moved up into the sky. I mean, it's like watching the world tilt while you're on it. It's crazy. I probably should have known by now that moons do rise, but I didn't exactly. It's the first time I've ever seen that. And I normally pay attention to these kind of things, you know. I'm pretty keyed into all the little things that are going on up there in the sky and stuff like that. Well, I'll put it up tonight. Why not? Have fun. So what I did was I did it, and then I Elizabeth Kaiser, I sped up the video to see the moon rose in the video.
Cool.
Pretty cool, huh?
That's really cool. That's really cool. I've seen that. It's really fast in the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, you don't really sometimes even need to speed the video up. You can actually see the moon. You can just see it in real time.
You can, and I don't know why it looks so fast in the beginning. And I remember one day I was fascinated by that too, because I was seeing the same thing you were, and I was just riveted. And it was I think they call it a harvest moon. So it was this gorgeous orange. And they said it's because of relativity. You can see the comparison to the horizon of the Earth. So you can see it. Move, but you don't have that relativity once it's up in the sky.
Right.
Yeah. So it looks like it's not moving.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not moving at all. We're moving, right?
True. Yeah, we
right?
are moving. Yeah.
We're moving.
Yeah,
That's
same concept. But
I know.
Yeah, flip it on its head. You're right. That's beautiful, though.
Now you're getting into like some real deep stuff, you know.
Oh, that's
Are
fun,
you
though.
moving or is the moon moving? You know, is the sun setting or are you setting?
Are you moving?
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, well, welcome to the show. That's
Thank
Elizabeth
you.
Kaiser, Straight Lines, and you are on the weekend, which is great. And I liked your new website too, elizabethkaiser.org.
Thank you.
You did the .org thing, huh?
It's .org because you know when you're buying domains, we were so lucky to find Elizabeth Kaiser because you'd figure it'd be taken somewhere on the planet, but we had to do the org. The com was taken.
Oh,
the net, the com, you know, all the other typical. So we had to do the org.
Org is just as good. People remember it. I mean, it's not that big of a deal.
Yeah.
People know.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're in your red, and you also have Donald Trump ducks. Can we see those?
I do.
You gotta hold one up.
Yeah.
So you drive a Jeep, right?
Can you see that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so these are so cute. I'm really getting into the Jeep stuff.
Yeah.
These are so there's a whole world, a whole vernacular, and I'm so new at it. I'm just learning.
Yeah.
But, you know, like when I brought these in, you're like, oh, you're going to duck me. Apparently, when you duck somebody, I've been ducked a couple times, and that means that somebody leaves a duck on your Jeep when you're away. So I was at the gym and somebody ducked me and they left me a duck on the Jeep, and it's just so cute. So anyway, these are Trump ducks. And I was having a meeting just about an hour ago with a friend of mine, and he's got a Jeep as well.
Yeah.
And he threw these in my Jeep before I came here.
Nice.
So I brought
love
these to the station so I can share these with my friends.
Well, my daughter has a Jeep, and so when we got out of the Jeep, I went out. I went to Amazon and just bought a bag of the ducks, you know, because she wanted to get into doing that too.
Yeah.
I do know that kind of lining them up in front of the Jeep is kind of a chick thing more than anything else, but that's okay.
Yeah.
And I still don't know. I mean, I even looked it up, and I still couldn't figure out what it is. Like it's just one of those things where the Jeep people just came up with it, but it doesn't really have any really rooted reason associated with a Jeep.
There's like a history to it, and I don't know it, but actually I've just been networking with some people. That's where I got these ducks. Somebody told me yesterday, and I had no idea, that it was post World War II. I don't know much about this, but they took all the willies. These were willies. That's what I've got is a willie. And after the war, they sent him back. And then they brought him back, and the duck has some kind of symbol, and then there's a wave.
Oh, yeah.
You got to wave. It's like with 2 fingers.
Yeah, right.
I've got to read up on it. I don't know. It's like it's a whole new world. I just got like the foot pedestals, and I've got the mirrors because the doors aren't on it, so that keeps you safe. And it's a lot of fun. But we always keep the doors on the back because we've got dogs. We got little collies, so we keep the doors on the back.
So, hey, I was wondering, have you ever heard of Jillian Michaels?
I have not.
Okay, so Jill, you want to if you check her out, she's kind of like in your realm, like a health nut.
Okay.
And
Jill?
this is where she's not in your realm. She happens to be gay, and she's also a former Democrat.
Okay.
But man, is she a badass? I saw her with Abby Phillips on CNN, and she basically just dropped Julie Rudinsky over this whole idea of President Trump wanting a review of the Smithsonian. Listen to how this thing went. I'll get your reaction to it.
Effectively now has some random person deciding what is appropriate for the Smithsonian to teach in terms of American history, things that don't offend parts of the MAGA base, right? So we're now literally reviewing parts of American history and parts of American culture to make sure it comports with dear leader and what the MAGA
Can we address
wants.
some of those things?
This is Jillian.
Because have you looked at some of the things that are being reviewed?
Slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like he's
not whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No.
Okay.
He's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
can't tie slavery.
let's talk about the fact.
Wow. Was that Jillian talking?
Yeah, that's Jillian Michaels. Yeah.
Less than 2% of white Americans own slaves.
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that slavery is thousands of years old?
White people
Do you know who was the first race to try to end slavery? Well, what's controversial?
Yeah, and I love it because the black guy's like, oh, I didn't know this was controversial. Well, dude, it is now. Welcome to the new world where you're going to get a fact enema nowadays whenever you happen to be spouting all this bull crap. And Jillian Michaels, I was impressed. I had never, maybe some of you guys have heard about her before, but she's pretty amazing. And she's on CNN here now. We had Scott Jennings, of course, on CNN.
Right.
But now Jillian Michaels, I don't know how long she's going to be on there, but this is good.
She may not be on there very long.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to look her up.
Yeah.
Wow. She knew her facts. I love
know.
that.
Well, I didn't know that, though.
Yeah.
That only 2% of whites own slaves in America.
2% of whites own slaves.
In America.
In America.
Yeah, at the time.
You mean at the time? I was going to say, not today.
No, not today.
You mean just 2%? Back in the day when slavery was acceptable and it was legal, only 2%?
Only 2% had slaves.
That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
Incredible.
You know what that reminds me of, though? That's kind of the correlation to, the gay population. Let's talk about that. I remember sitting down with my kids back in the day. Let's just say it was 5 years ago or 6 years ago. I was trying to put that into perspective, too, about the percentage of the population that are gay. You can call it a lot of different things. Very small percentage.
Yeah.
But if you listen to the media, you think it's 60%.
Well, it's kind of like even with the black population. It's funny. One time I asked my son, we were driving around. He was littler. Like 12 or something, and I asked him, what do you think is the percentage of black people in the country? And he said 50%. I go, no, it's 12.
See,
like you'd never know that
the
by
distortion, because they get all the attention. I mean, the minority, it doesn't matter who the minority is, black, ethnicity, the gay population, whatever, it doesn't matter. They get all the attention, and that's what the media likes to spew, and so therefore the perception is distorted.
The tyranny of the minority is what that is.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And again, and that's why when it's 2%, like that literally, that is the first time I've ever heard that.
I had no idea.
I mean, and then and then all these people on the liberal side are like, well, I didn't know this was controversial. And again, yes, it 2%. Actually is because you guys are trying to change people's lives, even to the point of even asking for reparations. Because with 2% of the white people having slaves, it's like, no, I'm not. Well, I wouldn't do reparations anyway, but
Yeah, and I guess it's 2% of the white people owning slaves. So I don't know what the percentage of blacks would be. The slaves, that'd be a slightly different percentage. But given that, one of the facts too people don't talk about. Some of the slaves were very happy. They were treated so well. And when they were free, they didn't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's a reality nobody ever wants to talk about.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think Andrew Jackson was a great case of that. I'm not defending slavery by saying they were happy, but
Right.
what I'm saying is Andrew Jackson at the Hermitage armed his slaves. Like, he gave them guns. I mean, he kept an eye on them, but he gave them guns.
He
so
really
they could
trusted
hunt.
them.
They had this entire community there. Again, I'm not saying that is that means slavery wasn't all that bad, because you're a slave. So it doesn't matter whether you're kind of just happy being a slave, because you're still imprisoned and whatever. But that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
Is it's not that there's a greater story to it, and it's a sad one, because unfortunately a lot of the black people who were slaves in this country were brought here by black people. So,
right. And a lot of them lived in communities, and they were segregated from the owners, of course, but they were communities. I mean, they weren't that dark, depressed, kind of what most of the media wants us to think about, but they lived in separate communities. And it almost reminds me, it's kind of vestiges of kind of how the Chinese is today, like the communists, like the people live in these, what do you call them? Encampments.
Oh, yeah.
They live in encampments, and that's how they live.
Yeah.
The citizens of China, and they're under communist regime. Very similar. They're taken care of. They have the basic essentials, basic necessities. That's one of the topics I wanted to study and actually get somebody on my show that can speak to that, because I had just talked to somebody recently that was over in China that saw that, and it was really interesting. But
yeah,
I think there's correlation between that and maybe some of the examples of how some of the slaves did live in communities.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, and what Jillian Michaels is saying is that if you look at some of the exhibits at the Smithsonian, it is all somehow linked to this concept of white imperialism and
white
whatever
supremacy.
and white supremacy,
Right.
and it actually was not. I mean, the exhibits need to be able to balance some of that, not excusing slavery, but we all know what the economic element was there and everything else. And it's not just about slavery, though. Some of these exhibits basically are tracing every problem in the country known to man to white people. And it's like, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Another distortion.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that the ship is being righted on so many levels.
Yeah. I'm going to put my Donald Trump. Are you going to give me one of those?
Of course.
Okay. I'm going to put that right next. I have a Ronald Reagan
You want me to
duck.
scoot it over there? There's 4 here.
I know.
Yeah,
Cool.
I'm gonna distribute those. I've actually got one. That line of ducks that you were talking about, though. I don't have that in my Jeep because to me, less is more.
Yeah, no,
you get more attention. Less is more. So I've only got 4.
Well, because then it becomes like those like a Beanie Baby thing.
Yeah.
Like
right.
people who remember the Beanie, they put the Beanie Babies in the back of their car.
Yeah.
It's like,
oh gosh, that's right. I had thought about that though. You just said that. You're right. All these different fads. Some like the pet rock and everything else.
I know. All right. Well, Elizabeth Kaiser, tell us all about the show. When's it coming up? Everything else.
Yeah, so this week, this Sunday, we have Dr. Mary Talley Bowden.
Okay. And what time? What time is we got to go here?
And it's going to be 8 p.m. Sunday night.
Nice.
101.9 News Talk STL every Sunday evening at 8 p.m.
Straight lines.
Straight
Ashley,
lines
thanks
by
a
Elizabeth
ton.
Kaiser.
Have a great day, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Success. It's discipline. It's teamwork. It's the drive and passion inside of us that comes before all recognition. It's the best in each of us, made better by the best in all of us. Whatever success looks like to you, Stiefel is invested in yours. That's why Stiefel is one of the fastest